G'day folks, Wren here, and I'm going to tell you about the 10 best manga I read in 2023. The idea for this video came about by Katie Coulson. I was watching one of her live streams a couple months ago and she mentioned wanting to find a video of someone's favourite manga. But all she could find was booktube channels that talked about one specific manga series. So I was like, you know what? I could make a video like that because 2023 has definitely been my manga era. I have read so much manga in 2023. It's more than half of like my reading, like 120 of my overall yearly books read have been manga. So like I've read a lot and I've been having a great time doing it. It's been so much fun and I have loved delving into lots of different worlds. It's been great. So, today I'm going to tell you my top 10 favourite manga of 2023. This has a bit of a caveat to it. I gave myself kind of the rule that if I loved a manga in 2023 and I read more than one volume of it, then it could go on my top 10 list. Because I wanted to, give that manga a fair go for it to be at the top of the list. So there were a bunch of manga series that I started and I only read the first volume and they are not included in this list. But if I do this video again next year, hopefully all of those will be in next year's video because I will have read some more. There was also quite a few standalone mangas that I read this year that I really enjoyed. So if you would like to see a video about the standalone mangas that I read, let me know and I'll make that video. Before I get into the top 10, I'm going to mention a couple honorary best of the years. So these were a couple mangas where I only read the first volume, but they were amazing and I really wish that I had read more so that I could add them to the list, but I just didn't get around to it. First up for the honorable mentions, I'm Kind of Chubby and I'm Your Hero. This is a queer romance manga, very sweet. Then I have Dinosaur Sanctuary, which is what it sounds like. It's a zoo full of dinosaurs and then the zookeepers that are caring for them. It's amazing. And I Think Our Son is Gay. This is a YA queer manga series about a young boy who is kind of coming out to his mum, but not really, but the mum kind of knows it anyways, and it's very wholesome. Then we have Kaiju number 8. This is so much fun. It's full of kaiju, which are like monsters. Love that. And then these kind of almost like a police force in a way that are keeping the streets safe from the monsters. But one of those people gets turned into one of the monsters. It's a good time. And then the last one for the honorable mentions is Killing Stalking. Yeah. This is a psychological horror, the most messed up thing you'll ever read, but ooh, it's a good time. What can I say? I like some messed up stuff. So now on to the top 10 manga series that I read in 2023. Starting with number 10, we have Ex-Yakuza and Stray Kitten. I read the first 2 volumes of this series in 2023, and I'm pretty sure volume 3 only recently came out. But this is such a fun manga. I have definitely gotten into cat manga in 2023, and I've never been a cat person. Then I started reading cat manga, and I'm a cat person. Sorry, Chopper. But this is about literally a stray kitten who is abandoned on a street and this guy comes along and finds this stray kitten and he takes the kitten in. And the thing about this manga series that makes it so amazing is that you get the like point of view of the cat, and it's so funny because this cat is terrified because the guy that took him in looks scary AF. Like he's got scars, he's always scowling, and the kitten's like, this guy is Yakuza. Turns out he was, in his past life, he was a member of the Yakuza, but him and a bunch of other ex-Yakuza members are now running this like cat cafe, or an animal cafe really, because there are some dogs as well. And in this cafe, they're just kind of giving homes to stray animals or ones that were given up because of some kind of health issue. But it really is just about these people who look a little rough around the edges caring for animals. And it's so cute and so funny because the cat will not be convinced that it's in a safe place. And mainly because the guy, he says things in ways that come off very threatening. And all he's really doing is like getting the cat a blanket or bringing it some food. But it's just the way he says things that makes the cat absolutely terrified, and it's so funny. So funny, so cute, and I have had such a good time with this manga. So number 9 is Death Note. Yes, Death Note, one of the classic manga series, I would say. This manga series has been around for a really long time, and in 2023, technically I read 4 volumes, but I'm currently reading the 5th. And I only have 1 more to go because I am reading the black editions. So this manga series was huge when I was a teenager. I wasn't into manga when I was a teenager, so I was like, yeah, whatever. I really get it now. I understand why this is so hyped and so beloved, and is just one of those classic series that everyone eventually reads. So in Death Note, we have this teenager who finds a Death Note, which is a notebook that is belonging to a Shinigami, and if you write someone's name in that journal, that person will die within 30 or 40 seconds, I think, unless you write a specific way that they will die, and then they'll die by that way. So that falls into the hands of a teenager. The great thing about this that I really love is that that teenager wants to save the world. So he thinks that if he kills off all of the criminals, then the world will be a utopia and everyone will be happy and safe and everything. So he starts killing all of the criminals, and he doesn't think there's anything wrong with that. He's like, I am amazing, I'm saving the world, and it's like, no, you're a murderer. So I loved like the corruption of him. The police become aware of this mass murderer. They nickname him Kira. They're trying to figure out how he's killing people, and they're just trying to stop him. But then this teenager actually gets brought into the investigation because he is kind of a genius. And so we have this teenager and then this one particular like investigator. They're both geniuses, and they clash, but in such an interesting way. Because it's like, if they weren't like on opposite teams, they would be the best of friends. But this has been such a fun series to read, and like, I get it. I really get it. It's popular for a reason, and I think if you've been putting off Death Note for a long time, give it a go. And number 8 is Dick Fight Island. Yes, it is. So I read the 2 volumes that are in the Dick Fight Island series, and yeah, I'm putting it on this list, and honestly, I almost want to put it higher because I loved Dick Fight Island. I really did. Now, like most people, I heard about this from Gavin Reads It All, and just the fact that he like kept talking about it, I was like, I'm intrigued. I want to know what this manga is about and why it's potentially good. Like, I thought it would be awful. I really did. Just because of the premise, and I mean, you know, the title says it all, really. And then I gave in. I gave in and I read volume 1 and I was obsessed. It was so good. So Dick Fight Island is about this particular island in the world, and it is split up into, I want to say 7, but I don't think it's 7. But like different kind of clans. But all of these different clans, they have, you know, they're very tropey in a way, like they all have their specific thing that they're good at or what have you. And every couple years they have this particular tournament to find out who is going to be the leader of just the island as a whole. And this tournament involves the title. It is this tournament where you pair up 2 particular fighters from different clans. They have specific armor on their body, and you lose the match if you finish, you know? And you win if you make the other person finish. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say it on the internet, but you know what I mean. Like, there's no way that I can get through this without laughing, because it sounds hilarious. But I tell you, it's really good. I was so impressed with the world building and like the stories that went behind, like almost like the mythology of all of these clans was fascinating, and I just want to know more about that. But this was so good, and it's also very, very wholesome because it's just like this love story between a couple different of the guys. They actually end up falling for each other and getting together, and it's all very sweet and wholesome, and you just want them to be together. It's very cute. But you know, it is what it is, and honestly, read it. So number 7 on the best manga that I read this year is A Man and His Cat. I read volumes 2 through 5 in 2023 and I loved it. This kind of like began my cat manga appreciation. It's one of the first that I read and I immediately fell in love with it. I thought it was the sweetest thing I ever read, and it has continued to be very, very sweet throughout the series. So this is a manga series literally about a man and the cat that he buys. So this man is an older gentleman and he lost his wife at some point. I'm still not really sure how long ago his wife had passed, and in kind of like a moment of grief he ends up buying this cat because his wife always wanted a cat but they never did do that. So he buys this cat and he just falls completely in love with it, and it's just the most adorable thing you'll ever read. It also hurts because this man is grieving, so it hurts. But again, we get the point of view from the cat, and the cat in this is so insecure. Like, it's constantly worried that this man won't love it anymore, and is always trying to be like the perfect cat because it wants to stay with this guy forever because he loves him. And I'm like, oh, break my heart, why don't you? It's so soft and sweet, and like this man is just absolutely in love with the cat, and the cat is absolutely in love with the man, and they're adorable together. It's so, so sweet and wholesome, and yeah, it'll give you the feels because there is a lot of, oh my gosh, my heart moments in this. And as the series goes on, we get more and more moments with these side characters who have certain roles in this man's life, as well as kind of like we get more cats through these side characters, but we also get more of this man's interactions, and he kind of starts to heal from this grief throughout the series, which is beautiful. And he starts like opening up his heart a bit more to his friends, and that was very, very sweet. And oh, it's so wholesome and lovely, and it's like a warm hug, really. It's so cute. Coming in at number 6 is Blood on the Tracks. I read volumes 1 through 13 in 2023, and oh my gosh, this is without a doubt the most stunning art in any manga series I've ever read. This is a unique manga, but there's very little text. It's a story that is mostly told through the art and through characters' expressions. Like, those expressions, some of them still haunt my mind because the mangaka is just so good at the artistry of this manga. It's amazing. So this is I guess like a psychological horror thriller manga. It is about this young boy and his mother and their kind of really creepy obsession with each other. Let's put it that way. The mother is, oh boy, she's something, and she's very much like, what's the word, grooming? She kind of is grooming her son in a way. So he is all kinds of messed up. A lot of things happen throughout this series, and like, surprisingly, those first 12 volumes are all just the prequel to the actual story. So volume 13 started the story because those first 12 volumes were when this kid was like 12, I think. And then from 13 onwards, he's an adult. He's in his 20s and he's kind of dealing with the repercussions of what happened in this prologue because some stuff went down. Like, wow. It's a roller coaster, but it's stunning. And it makes you feel like uncomfortable just from looking at these expressions on people's faces. Like, if you want a good like horror manga, read Blood on the Tracks. It gets inside your mind. This is terrifying without anything being overtly scary, you know? Like, it's not like a slasher where it's like, oh, blood and guts everywhere. It's the psychological things. It's the little things that this mother says to her son, and it's the expression on the son's face as he's working out what she meant and what it would mean for him if he said something or did something in a particular way. And like, it messes with your mind because nothing is overtly wrong for a while until things go really, really wrong. And then everything starts unraveling and the characters start unraveling because they're kind of losing their minds. Like, it's shocking about what happens, but nothing is done for shock value, if you get what I mean. It's all really well thought out and like intelligent, and just like read the first volume. Just look at the art of the first volume and you'll understand why this is such a beloved series, because it stands out. It's so different from anything else I've ever read, and just the way it gets inside your mind and like never lets go is really good. It's really good. I would say if you are interested in trying some horror manga, please read Blood on the Tracks. So for number 5, getting into the top 5 here. So number 5 is My Love Mixup, which I read volumes 1 through 5 in 2023. This was an interesting manga for me to get into because I kept not really being sure if I liked it, but this is a YA romance queer story. So it's a complicated synopsis, so let me just try and piece this together. This guy likes this girl and he borrows an eraser from her, and she has written like the name of her crush on her eraser, and he sees it and he's like, oh no, she likes someone else. But he drops that eraser and the person that sits in front of him, he picks it up, sees that it's his name on that eraser, turns to the guy, gives it back to him, and the guy's like, oh my god, because now that guy would think that this guy likes him, and he's like, oh no, what do I do? But because he likes this girl, he doesn't want to, like, you know, hurt her feelings. So he doesn't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to tell that guy that you like him. Like, that would be an awful thing to do. So he goes along with it. He pretends that yes, he was the one that has the crush on this guy. It develops from there because, you know, people fall out of certain crushes and fall into new ones. Basically, this main guy, he kind of stops having a crush on the girl and does develop a crush on that guy, and it's so sweet. And then he becomes like best friends with the girl, which is such a beautiful friendship. That's one of my favorite things about this manga, is just that friendship between those two that develops. They're so like there for each other, and like they tell each other all their secrets, and they're always like hyping each other up. Like some of the best friendship that I've seen in manga. So good. But then it's also this like budding relationship between these two guys, like them slowly trying to figure out, do they like each other? Because this is a kind of a new experience for both of them, and they're both just trying to figure out, do I have romantic feelings for this other person? And I think that's a really beautiful way of like having this relationship. Now, the reason I said I didn't know if this was going to be a manga for me is because there's this like layer of humor in this manga that like didn't sit well with me, because I'm not really a humor person. I've only recently started to get into more humorous books and graphic novels, but the humor in My Love Mixup is overt. The art style also changes when it's a humorous moment, especially with our main character's expression. Like, it completely changes, and it really threw me through a loop the first couple volumes, but you know, you do get used to them. So I want to say, if you have thought about giving My Love Mixup a go, do it. It's worth it. Then coming in at number 4 is Cells at Work Code Black, of which I read all 8 volumes in 2023. So I've read the entirety of the Cells at Work universe, I guess, that I can. I've read the original, I've read Code Black, and I've read Baby. This is a really great kind of world, but Code Black is definitely my number 1 favorite. So this manga series is about the human body. The main characters are usually a red blood cell and a white blood cell within the human body, and they're just doing their job. You know, a red blood cell is transporting oxygen throughout the body, and a white blood cell is attacking any bacteria that comes into the body. And they're just doing their jobs. And that's what's so great about this series, is that you learn about the human body through a manga, which is amazing. So in Code Black, the body that we're in is a body that is a middle-aged male who is not taking care of himself. He's drinking, smoking, he's not sleeping enough, he's not exercising at all, and his body is worn down. and the cells inside him are working so hard in such harsh conditions. You feel so bad for those cells because they're dying. Basically, a lot of the cells are dying because of how awfully this man is taking care of himself. And like, it was such a eye-opener to read about what effects the choices you make have on your body. So there was a few panels about alcohol and what alcohol does to the cells, and that was really, really interesting. There was some where it was all a lot of like fatty junk food, and you know, you see like the clogged arteries that come from that, and to watch those little red blood cells try and fit through a clogged artery, like my poor precious babies. Like, it really like hits you hard sometimes when you can really see what is happening to your body if you don't treat it with the respect it deserves. In 2023, I definitely have not made my health a priority, which is not great, so I would really like to kind of counteract that in 2024. And I will say that Code Black actually helped with that. It was also really great to see this kind of like diabetes rep, because the human body that the cells are in does develop diabetes. And that is something I have recently found out about myself, is that I now have type 2 diabetes, which has been a struggle to come to terms with. So if anyone has seen me kind of vaguely mention a new diagnosis in the past couple months of 2023, it's diabetes. It felt like such an important manga, and it was so entertaining. Like with everything else, it was really entertaining, and you're learning about things and you are coming to care for some of these characters. It's so good. If you haven't picked up Cells at Work, either the original or Code Black, I recommend both of them heavily. Then coming in at number 3 is Love Me for Who I Am, of which I read the first 3 volumes of in 2023. And I have just bought the rest of the series. There's only 5 volumes. So I will be reading those as soon as I can, because it's almost like hard to talk about this manga series because it gives me so many emotions. This is a YA contemporary manga. It's about this teenager who is non-binary, and they don't hide the fact that they're non-binary, but they have definitely closed themselves off from people because they're so worried about being bullied, which is so fair. And they write on a piece of paper one day this wish they wish that they could have some friends, and this boy in the school finds that wish and it was like, I know how I can help, because this boy's older sister runs a particular cafe, and the gist of it is men cross-dressing as women. That's the gist of what the cafe was, but throughout the series it becomes so much more than that, because this is one of the most like queer positive mangas I've ever read, or queer positive anythings I've ever read. Through bringing in this non-binary teenager to like meet the people at the cafe and work there, the people that already work at the cafe start to realize things about themselves. Like hearing this main character talk about their gender, like it heals so much of me. And then to see all of their friends kind of like rally around them and be like, yeah, you know, we understand, this is awesome, you be you, you're amazing. I'm just like, my poor little non-binary heart. If I had had that kind of support when I was a teenager, things would have been different. I'll just say that. It's absolutely stunning, and I cry every volume. Like a lot of them, they're usually happy tears, but that happy tears of like trauma healing, that's what this manga series is doing for me. It is healing some of my trauma from my own experience with being non-binary. It hits really hard, but it's absolutely stunning, and we get so much representation here because we have a lot of trans female characters, we have a lesbian character, we have a gay character, and then it's also really sweet that the non-binary character actually gets a love interest, which was very cute. And then it's also really cute to see this couple trying to like figure out what terms to use, and especially for the love interest, it's like, well, now that I like someone who's non-binary, they start to question their own sexuality, and it's like, do I have to label it in this way or this way or this way? And it's so good to just be like, you don't have to label it. You know, like, you're still young. Also, you don't have to label anything when you're young. You don't have to label anything ever if that is not something you want to do. And it's so sweet to see these characters grow, and this little like found family of like misfit queers coming together and supporting each other and becoming such good friends. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I can't get over how much this manga series means to me, and I'm so glad that I found it. So coming in at number 2 is Soul Eater, which I read volumes 15 to, what is it, like 25? I finished the manga series. I can't remember how many that is. I started reading this in 2022 and then I just completed it in 2023. And originally I wasn't going to include it because I was like, oh, I only read a few volumes, but like I read at least 10 volumes in 2023. So I'm counting it in this list. And this has become one of my all-time favorite manga series. So this is about Lord Death, who runs a school for weapons and meisters, which means there are some people who can transform into a weapon, and then there are people who can resonate with that weapon and they can be the ones to wield that weapon. So these people form like this like soul bond with each other, and they fight evil people and evil creatures to help protect the world. So we follow our main kind of group of teenagers. They go on all these missions to, like, you know, save the world and save each other from certain things, and it's all kind of to do with containing an ultimate evil in a way. And then when that evil is released, they have to then, you know, do some more fighting. But this manga series is the most quintessential Halloween manga in existence, because like there's a character whose name is Blair and she's a witch. Like, you get it, right? There's a character who's basically Frankenstein's monster mixed with Dr. Frankenstein, that kind of thing. There's all these different kinds of like horror trope things. There's skulls everywhere, there's magic happening, but it's just like the art is fantastic. And I want so many like art prints of Soul Eater just like all over my house because it's beautiful. But the best thing about Soul Eater is our little crew, this little group of teenagers who become very much a found family, and they are always looking out for each other, and they've all kind of made this big kind of soul bond with each other. But they are all such good friends, and they are always wanting to protect each other, which is beautiful. And Kid and Black Star, I love them. That's so good. I would highly, highly, highly recommend Soul Eater to everyone, because this was also like the first manga series I ever read, and I was so intimidated by manga, but then I read Soul Eater and I'm like, okay, I'm hooked. This is good. It was really easy to read. It was easy to understand the world that is happening, but it was also complicated enough that I wasn't, you know, feeling like I was being spoon-fed the information. And I will say, the first volume of Soul Eater is full of fan service. Please give it another go. Because when I read the first one, I was like, ew, this is gross. Just read the second volume, because basically after that first volume, the rest of it, there's hardly any fan service. And then like you actually get into the story, and there's none of this really, really creepy stuff that happened in the first volume. Like, you need the first volume for a little bit of context, but like, ooh, please give it another chance. At least read the first 2 volumes and then make your decision from that, because, ooh, that first volume, it's not great. It's really not great. But I would highly recommend this. It's such a fun time with amazing characters and a really, really interesting world and great art. And then coming in at number 1, the very best manga series that I read in 2023 is Black Butler. So I read from volume 2 to 29 in 2023. I was also vlogging my experience, so there's a few videos of that if you'd like to check it out. But oh my god, I'm so obsessed with Black Butler. It's very much my everything now. So Black Butler is a historical paranormal manga series. It's set in like 1880, maybe, don't quote me on that, potentially in the very early 1900s. I can't remember what year, but like that kind of time period. And we follow this young boy who's an earl to his family's wealth, and something happened to him that like no one likes to really talk about because it was very traumatic. After some time, he returns to the world with this mysterious black butler by his side. And that black butler is actually a demon that this boy has made a contract with, because the boy wants to get revenge on someone who killed his family, basically. And so he is using this demon butler to help him get revenge. And it's great because the butler is the sassiest sass to ever sass. But then so is the young boy, so they have this great like antagonistic friendship. Would I call it a friendship? Let's just say partnership. Because they are literally in a contract with each other. They can't escape each other. But this young boy is like, his family was also, they were called like the Queen's watchdog. So the Queen of England, and so this family would do all the like the dirty dealings for the Queen in a way. So this young boy is taking on that mantle after his father died. So he is now the Queen's watchdog. He goes out into areas full of criminals and he's like, right, we'll take you down. And he like solves murders and crimes. And we have other creatures as well as demons. We do get a few demons. And we also get a few Grim Reapers. I'll just put this out there. Grell Sutcliffe is my queen. I am obsessed with her. She's amazing. There is some debate within the fandom of Grell's gender. The way Max and I see it is Grell is a trans woman, because she literally spends every moment she's on page saying that she's a woman, you know, oh, don't do that to a lady, oh, I'm the only woman on this particular branch, she's a woman. But some other people in the fandom think that Grell is non-binary. To me, she's a trans woman, and I love her, she's amazing. She's also obsessed with Sebastian, who is the Black Butler, and Grell's just a great time. She's a great time. But the art in this is also really, really pretty, and all of these side characters are phenomenal, and like you fall in love with all of them. The servants, oh, they need to be protected at all costs, even though they are the protectors. There is this sense of found family within this little world, and it's beautiful. And like, if something goes wrong, I'm gonna be mad because I'm not finished the series. It is still being produced. So volume 30 is currently out, and 31 and 32 are like on order at my library. So I'm like, just give me what I want, because I was left on a bit of a cliffhanger that I'm not super happy about. So I would like some answers. But this is a phenomenal manga series. But I will say, if you are just getting into manga, or you're not very well versed in manga, don't start with Black Butler. It is confusing. I read the first volume as like when I was just getting into manga, and I didn't like it because I could not understand it, because there was a lot, it was a very chaotic layout, and there was a lot of text that was not in like speech bubbles, and I couldn't figure out who was saying what, and there's just so much in a panel that it was like, what is happening? So I think if you would like to give Black Butler a chance, which please do, it's amazing, I would say do it once you are more familiar with the manga formatting and layout. Once you get a handle on that, then give Black Butler a go. And it does get a lot less cluttered as the series goes on, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But for at least the first few volumes, it's very confusing and chaotic. And I really don't think I'm explaining it well, because I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, because it's so good. But that'll do it for my top 10 manga series of 2023. Please let me know if you've read any of these. Just come talk to me about them, please. because I want more excuses to talk about my favorite manga series. But let me know what manga you've been reading this year, because I'm always looking for more manga to read, and guaranteed there is a lot of other manga that I read in 2023 that I loved and gave 5 stars. But again, I had that caveat of I had to at least read 2 volumes of something. So there were so many manga that didn't make it to this list. But like I said, I might make another one talking about standalones, and I might do this again next year where many more series that I read this year will be in that one. You know? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!